Okay. So last time around, we were talking about the types of observations. So you know that for qualitative research, you can either have an observation or interviews. So observations are also fine, and there were six types of observations which can be made. So it was the participant observation, it was the non-participant observation, then you have the direct observation or indirect observation was there, and the last two were the controlled observation and uncontrolled observation. So I think we talked about the first four. Then what about a control observation or controlled experiment or uncontrolled experiment? Let's say there are two types of variables or factors which you can control or which are there in your experiment or some phenomena. These are extrinsic factors and intrinsic factors. Extrinsic means outside, intrinsic means inside or internal. So extrinsic factors are those factors which are related to environment or outside. For example, you are working in your lab, then the temperature of the lab, the surrounding in your lab, or the people coming in and outside of your lab are like extrinsic factors. Whereas intrinsic factors are related to your experiment, let's say the chemical or some phenomena which you are observing, or some, let's say you are doing experiment on cats. So cat would be something which is intrinsic, or the vaccine which you are using, maybe this is the intrinsic factor. So there are intrinsic and extrinsic factors when you are talking about some observation. So let's say controlled observation would be the one in which you can control maximum intrinsic and extrinsic and intrinsic factors. So if you can control maximum of these factors or you can control most of these factors, you will call that observation or experiment as controlled experiment or observation. For example, you are working in your lab, you can control the temperature, you can control the people coming in and out of that lab, you can control the your experiment as well. So you can say that it is a controlled observation. Whereas in uncontrolled observation, you would not be able to control some of the extrinsic or intrinsic factors. For example, last time we talked about a social experiment. So you conducted a social experiment in which you are looking at the behavior of people for some accident outside on the road. So you cannot control the car coming or the people who are actually there for who are looking at that experiment, or you cannot control the behavior. How do they behave after seeing that accident? So there are many extrinsic factors which you cannot control in that social experiment. Okay, so you will call it an uncontrolled observation because there are some factors or variables which are not in your control. Now let me ask you a question. You are conducting a taste test. So in a taste test, let's say Pepsi company is coming up with a new flavor of or a new taste of Pepsi. So outside different markets, they will put up the soft drink, new soft drink without any name, and they will ask people and they will offer people a free taste test. What do you think? Is it a controlled observation or uncontrolled observation? Yes, please. You are conducting a taste test. So let's say this is a new taste for a Pepsi, and for that, the company has put up a stall and they will offer free soft drink taste to different people who are coming to that market. So is it a controlled observation or uncontrolled observation? Why do you think it is a controlled observation? Can I control, or do you think if I offer a soft drink to everyone, everyone will accept it? Maybe there are people who will say, we don't want to taste it. Or can you control the number of people who are coming to that market? Or can you control, maybe everyone will be giving a right type of a feedback? Maybe someone will taste it and say, I don't want to give a feedback. Can you control these type of factors in this experiment? No. So that means it should be uncontrolled observation, because there are some extrinsic or intrinsic factors that you cannot control. Okay, so this is the difference between a controlled observation and uncontrolled observation. You can call it controlled or uncontrolled experiments as well. Okay, then the next thing and important thing about qualitative research is the interview. So we will define interview, then how many types of interviews are there. So remember, for qualitative research, interviews are an important tool, same like questionnaire for the quantitative data. So when you are collecting quantitative data, questionnaire or survey was an important tool. Here, for qualitative data, interviews are very important tools. Observations and interviews, these are two tools. So we have talked about observations. Now we will be talking about the interviews. Okay. First of all, what is an interview? What is an interview? According to Silverman, 2001, interviews are like conversation. Two or more people will talk with each other. So when two or more people they talk with each other or they have a conversation with each other, they share knowledge or it reshapes the knowledge. That means someone will tell you something new and it will reshape your knowledge based on that knowledge or experience of the other guy. When we talk with each other, when we converse or when we have conversation with each other, we actually reshape the knowledge based on the experiences which we have gained. That means interview is also a conversation between two or more people. So interviews are important in reshaping the knowledge. This is what Silverman said in 2001, and it was referenced by, or it was quoted by Fontana and Frey in 2003. So interviews, remember, interviews, these are a way of investigating something or exploring something based on the conversation. Okay, so interview can be called as a verbal exchange by words. It may also result based on the spontaneous conversation. We talk about different topics in our daily life. Every day we will talk about different topics. That conversation can be a source of knowledge. Okay, so based on these, there are four types of interviews. So we can classify interviews into four types: structured interviews, semi-structured interviews, unstructured interviews, and focus groups. These are the four types of interviews. The first one are structured interviews. So in a structured interviews, you will have closed questions. Closed questions. And if you are going for a structured interview, you will define the questions as well as you will plan them. Plan means you will put an order for them. Let's say I have to, in this, I will interview five people and I will ask them 10 questions, and the order will also be the same. Order will also be the same. That means I will plan it before the interview. I will put the questions, and the questions will be closed questions. What is a closed question? Let me tell you what about it in just a minute. But the order will be the same. That means if the interviewee one, I am asking question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For interview two, same questions will be asked in the same order. You will not change the order even. Same questions, same order with to every interview. So the good thing about structured interview is that you can compare the responses of one interview and the other interview because they have answered the same questions in the same sequence. So you can compare them and validate them. Validation means if you conduct such type of interviews, structured interviews for many people around the Oman, and if your problem is related to Oman, you can validate it. Validate means you can compare it and you can come up with some consistent results. Okay, so question, what type of a question is a closed question? Let me first move towards the semi-structured interviews and unstructured interviews. Then it would be easy to tell that what are closed questions. Closed questions. So second thing is a semi-structured interview. In a semi-structured interview, you will prepare some questions, but not all. And when you are interviewing someone, during that interview, you will add some additional or extra questions, and you will ask the interview about those questions. And in this case, most of the people, most of the participants would be answering different questions. So some questions are same, some questions are different. Why? Because during that interview, you will make some questions. So semi-structured interviews are difficult to compare. Why? Because you can only compare those questions which are same for the interviews. Those questions which you ask or which you make during the interview may not be the same, and you cannot compare the responses of 4 or 5 participants based on that. Let me ask you a question. So structured interviews are there, semi-structured interviews are also there. Which one is more flexible? Which one is more flexible? Structured interviews are more flexible or semi-structured interviews are more flexible? Yes. I'm asking a question whether structured interviews are more flexible or semi-structured interviews are more flexible. Is there anyone in the class? There are 29 students in the class. No one wants to reply? Yeah. So you please, some of you please reply, or you people are sleeping. I have asked a question that we just discussed structured interviews and semi-structured interviews. I'm asking which of these types, structured or semi-structured interviews, which one is more flexible? Flexible means which you can change during the interviews. It gives you more flexibility. Structured. Why Abdul Aziz structured interviews you think? Or Myra? Why you think it gives more? Let me ask from someone. Someone who. Sokhita Hussain. Sokhita Hussain. Can you please give any feedback? Yes, Abdul Aziz, but structured interviews you cannot change. Structured interviews will have the same question, and you have to ask it in the same order. But in semi-structured interviews, you will prepare 2 or 3 questions, but during the interview, you can ask different questions which come to your mind during that interview. So that means you can do it for semi-structured interviews. So you can change for semi-structured interviews. Next time I will be asking a question and I will just call the name of a student to answer that, whether it is right or wrong. Okay, you need to answer it because I think you people have, most of you are just logged in and you don't listen. Okay, moving forward. So semi-structured interviews are there. Unstructured interviews. In this type of interview, you will not, you will just have the research purpose or research topic with you related to your research, qualitative research, and you will not prepare any questions. During the interview, all the questions will generate. So that means every interview will be different. In unstructured interviews, you normally go for open questions. It's not open-ended questions, it's open questions. Okay, now let me tell you what is the difference between open questions and closed questions. I ask you a question. The question is, what do you think about air pollution? Let's say this is an interview and I ask you a question, what do you think about air pollution? Now you can say anything about it because it is an open question. Maybe you can say air pollution is because of our cars. Air pollution is because of the industries in the country. Air, we have to take care of our children, things like that. So whatever you want to say, you can say about this topic. It's an open question which is being asked to you. What about a closed question? It's not a close-ended question like in questionnaire. It is a closed question. Closed question means I will ask you the same question but in a different way. For example, what do you think about air pollution? Or for example, how does it affect your children? Now, in this question, I am asking the same question that what do you think about air pollution? But I lead you to something different, like what is the effect on the children? Now, everyone will talk about the effect of air pollution on the children and not on any general thing which is included in the air pollution. So see the difference. What do you think about air pollution? And in the second question, what do you think about air pollution and how does it affect your children? So here in the second one, it's a closed question because I want your opinion about air pollution affecting the children. In the first question, which is open question, I'm just asking your opinion that what is air pollution? You can give opinion about industries, you can give opinion about cars, you can give opinions about our behavior, anything in the first question. But in the second question, it's a closed question because I ask a specific opinion about something. Okay, let me ask you a question again. You have to tell me whether it is a closed question or open question. What do you think about hostel facilities in gas source? Is it an open question or a closed question? Okay, if it is an open question, tell me. I ask you another question. What do you think about hostel facility for females? Compare the two questions. Compare the two questions. The first question was, what do you think about hostel facility in CAS Sur, College of Applied Sciences Sur. Whereas in the second question, I asked you, what do you think about hostel facility for female students? In the first question, you have to tell me about the hostel facility of CAS Sur. But in the second question, you have to tell about the hostel facility for female students. Maybe in this city, you have some private hostels as well. So some will tell about that. Some will tell about the hostel facility of CAS Sur in the second question. Some will tell about the advantages of hostel life for females. So the second one is open question, but the first one is specifically about the CAS Sur hostel facility. So you will only talk about CAS Sur facility. That means the first one should be a closed question. Let me ask you another question so that you will. What do you think about driving? Is it an open question or closed question? Okay, this is okay. This is open question. You can talk anything about driving. Okay. What about this one? What do you think about driving in a small city? What do you think about driving in a small city? How can it be both? Driving in a small city here, you will just give your opinion about driving in a small city. Now you will not tell that driving is very important. Driving, you should have a driving license before. No, 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 no. This is what I am telling. Afra, this is what I told. This is not close-ended or open-ended questions like questionnaire. This is interview questions. Interview questions cannot have options. Interview questions cannot have options. You cannot have choices of answers. Then it is a questionnaire. This is not an interview. In interview, that is why it is written open question, closed question, not open-ended question and closed-ended question. Please, that was for questionnaire, quantitative data. This is an interview. So please, this is what is the first thing which I told you, that this is not closed-ended question. Don't mix it up. Closed question means it is still an open-ended question, but it only asks your opinion on the specific thing. Okay, that was for the survey question. Survey question, quantitative data. We are right now talking about qualitative data. So it's open questions and closed questions. Both of these questions are actually, if you compare it with that one, those are open-ended questions. But here the difference is the open question means general opinion. Closed question means some specific opinion. Do you get my point? Please clear this confusion. This is not closed-ended question like questionnaire. This is closed question. Closed question means only give your opinion on that specific thing. Driving in a small city. Now, only if I ask you this question, you will only give me opinion about the problems of driving in a small city. Whereas if I ask you, what do you think about driving? You can tell me driving is important. You should have a license to drive in big cities. There are more challenges while driving in a big city. Maybe in a small city, it is easy to drive. And at the age of 18 years, you should take a driving license. So things like that. It is general. So you need to see the difference in the question. What do you think about driving, and what do you think about driving in a small city or in a large city? The questions are closed questions, but what do you think about driving is an open question. Give any type of opinion. Do you get my point? Yeah, so there is no need of choices here. This is not a questionnaire. There is no need of choices. This is an interview. In interviews, you do not give choices. Not give choices, but you can lead. Lead means you can ask for some specific questions. So unstructured interviews will have open questions. Open questions means you are asking the person something. When I will be using structured interviews? When I will be using structured interviews? When my research theme is clear. Research theme, I'm putting it in the chat box. Research theme means research objective or research purpose. Same like that one. In qualitative research, we call research purpose or research objective as research theme. But when you are not clear about your research purpose or research theme, then you can conduct some unstructured interviews. Unstructured interviews will give you insights that what should be your research purpose, because you are asking questions at the time of interview. You haven't planned anything. But structured interviews or semi-structured interviews are conducted when you want to verify or when you want to make your factors or variables. So you know your research purpose. What is your research purpose or research theme? Now you want to make factors or variables. For that, you are interviewing that person because it's a new research. So you are interviewing different people and you are asking them the same question so that you can gather your variables or factors for that research. Whereas in unstructured interviews, you are even not sure about the research theme. You want to verify the research theme first. So that is why you are conducting some unstructured interview. Yes, it is possible that when you are conducting that unstructured interview, some factors or variables will also come from that interview. I will tell you it more specifically after the focus group. Is this point clear? So there is a difference between structured and unstructured interview. Is it clear? Okay, so moving forward, the fourth type is the focus group. Focus groups are very common. For example, in a focus group, you will make a group. So it will not be one interview at a time. So you are not taking individual feedback right now. In a focus group, you will take the collective feedback. So collective feedback will define your variables for your research or factors for your research. For example, Toyota is going to launch a new electric car. Now, electric car is new. That means, let's say, there are very few countries who are using electric cars. Now, Toyota wants to make an electric car, and they want to know what are the important characteristics of a Toyota, this new car. So they will form a focus group of 5 to 10 people or 15 people. It is easy to work with a small focus group. It is difficult or challenging to maintain a big focus group. So normally 5 to 10 people focus group would be there. Okay, you who is interviewing them will work as a mediator. Mediator means, let me put the word in the chat box. Mediator means you will not give your opinion in that focus group. You will just ask them questions or suggest them something. You will not give your opinion that according to me, it should be done like this. No. You are just there to mediate. What is the role of a mediator in a focus group? Let's say I will say, okay, so there will be an electric car. So what do you think about the mileage of that car? Mileage, how much miles it will go with that electric battery. Now they will start discussing it in that focus group. And remember, in your focus group, only those people will be there who have a very good knowledge about that research thing. That means the people have very good knowledge about cars can become a part of focus group for Toyota. If they don't have knowledge about cars, let's say my whole life I didn't drive a car, how can I tell about cars then? Cannot be a part of a focus group. So keep it in mind, in focus group, the collective answers or collective feedback is taken, but at the same time, the respondents or the participants, they should have a very good knowledge of that product. So most of the time, companies, if they are making a focus group for some new product or new thing, they will hire or they will ask different experts in that area to form a focus group. And the person who is conducting that focus group will work as a mediator. He will just put up a question and the discussion will go on. Now, if discussion is going to some other direction, then I, as a mediator, will try to ask them the second question. I will just take notes or I will just record their feedback. I will not make my own suggestion. Okay, so in focus group, the collective responses or collective feedback is important rather than in interviews, whether it is structured, semi-structured or unstructured. At one time, you are interviewing only one person. Whereas in focus group, you will have more than one person, basically a group of people who would be focused on that type of research. Okay, so interaction comes. So collective view will be there rather than the individual view. Do you get the difference between the 4 types of interviews? So the last one is actually a focus group, which is very common as well. There is also, we call it a Delphi technique as well, but it's okay. In the Delphi technique is a bit different, but maybe in future, if you listened about a Delphi technique, think it is a variation of a focus group. Delphi technique is also there, which is very common. For your knowledge, I will just give you a brief about it. I will just tell you a bit. Okay, in a focus group, you are asking people to come and form a group. Let's say the experts are in different countries. Then you cannot ask them to come together to form a focus group and we can have discussion or interview with each other. Then maybe you have to make some questions for the opinion of the experts, and you will send them in their country. And all of them will give you the response, and then you will check and compare the response. That is kind of a Delphi technique. It is more than that. I'm just giving you some idea about it. This is also qualitative research. Delphi technique is there. So you do not have discussion on like focus group. Instead of it, because the experts are in different countries, they cannot come together. Maybe you will just send them your questions or some rating for them, and they will make that, and you will compare it. Delphi takes long time. Focus group also takes some time. If the participants are there, it's easy. You can do focus group on some type of a topic, but you cannot be a part of it. You can just work as a mediator. You will just see if the discussion is going in the right way. If discussion gets repeating, that means they have finished it. So you will move to the second question, because you will plan your interview. So whatever for Toyota, they will, if they think that they have talked about mileage and they are now repeating the same thing again and again, as a mediator, I will tell them, okay, what do you think about the interior of the car, or what should be the size of the car? Then I will put up the second question as a mediator in a focus group. Now they will start discussing it. I will not discuss it. I will just record. I will just make notes. And when I see the discussion is getting repeated, I will put up the third point. Is it clear? Mediator word is used, sometimes moderator word is also used, that you work as a moderator in that meeting. You moderate the meeting. Yeah, I believe moderator would be more appropriate in terms of English, moderator. But generally speaking, there is no difference between mediator and moderator, generally speaking. Moderator, you will work as a moderator would be more, you can influence them, you can stop them. Moderator means you can stop them. Okay, now we can stop and we can move forward. Mediator is also same. Okay, so it's up to you whether you want to use the word moderator. I want to be a moderator of a focus group, or I want to be a mediator of focus group. I'm not sure. You can check it on the internet. I think both words are there for a focus group. Is this point clear? Do you know about focus group now? Is it okay? Okay. Now, moving forward, there, according to Kay, 1996, and on one of his research papers, page number 88, he sets out 7 stages of an interview. 7 stages. So in qualitative research, you will have 7 stages. These are similar to your quantitative research, but the names will be different a bit different. Okay. Theme, I use the word theme. This is thematizing, means to define the purpose of your research. Theme, define the research theme. Theme means the purpose or objective of your research. So in qualitative research, you will call it a research theme or the process of thematizing. Okay. So this is same, research purpose. What would be your approach? How will you go for an interview? Which type of interview you will use? Whether you will use some, sorry, that will be the design part. So this is the purpose of your research. Purpose means the objective of your research is there. You will define that research theme. Okay. No one has worked on the, let's say, I'm just saying it, no one has worked or very little research has been done on the causes of uh, let's say causes of genetic diseases. I think some student is working on that. Causes of hereditary diseases, the diseases which comes from our parents in Oman. Let's say this is totally new thing. This is a totally new thing. So in that case, if it is totally new thing, then in that case, the research theme will be based on those hereditary diseases, those genetic diseases, which will be important. So this will be my research theme, and then I will design my interview. Now, designing an interview means the second stage. Designing the interview means you will schedule the interviews. You will also make the questions, and you will define whether you will go for a structured interview, semi-structured interview, unstructured interview, or focus group. The common are structured interviews, semi-structured interviews, and focus groups. So it depends. Unstructured interviews are not very common because unstructured interviews mean still you are not sure about the research objective or research purpose, which is the theme of the research. So you will design your interview, whether it's structured, whether it is unstructured, whether it is semi-structured, or whether you are going for a focus group. Focus group means a group activity. Then after that, you will interview. You will conduct the interviews. After conducting the interviews, you will do the transcription. The word here is transcribing. What is that? Transcription means you get the words. So you have recorded the words. Okay. So I will put the word in this word transcription in the chat box. Transcription. Transcription or transcribing means now you have got the interviews. The textual data is with you. Text means words of the people are with you. You need to code them. Same like in quantitative data. Quantitative data, you have numerical data. So there are software which help you in transcribing. Transcribing means the coding of that data. In simple words, I tell you, there are software. There is a software which is called NVivo. I am putting it in the chat box for your reference. I told you for quantitative data, we use most of the time we use SPSS. SPSS is very common for quantitative data. But for qualitative data, yes, there are software like NVivo. NVivo software will how does it work? Let me just describe it because we will not use it in this course. It helps you in transcribing. So you will give a code to different important words. It is like that you will put the recording in that software. and just simplifying the process. You are putting that recording in that software, and that software will generate the most important words in all of those interviews. For example, your interview was about the issues of students in caste colleges. And the most important word which was spoken by many of the students was, let's say, hostel. So hostel, that software will tell you that hostel is the most important word. The problems related to hostel. Then it is food provided in the college. So the software NVivo will tell you or prioritize the words which are commonly used in those interviews or on which there was more emphasis. From that, now you have transcribed. From that transcription, that means you have the textual data. Now you have put it in the form of code and you have found the most important words. Now you are in the position of analyzing your data, this qualitative data. Analyze. In analyzing, you will give meaning to those or categorize those things. For example, if I get hostel as a word, which is very important, I would say that students of Castor, the hostel facility is the major source of concern for the students. They want hostel to be provided on campus, and the facility of hostel like rooms or electricity or the different facilities like water and electricity should be improved. What is that? From the word, you are giving the meaning because you have conducted the interviews as well. So you know what they said. So based on that, when you get the most important word, you will give them the meaning. And this is here why it is qualitative data. I ask you, in quantitative data, the mean age, median, mode, the average age of your class is, let's say, 20 years. So if the mean is 20, what will I say? The mean age or the average age of this class is 20 years. If I give the same result to you, mean 20 years, class age, what will you say? You will say the same thing. You will say, the average age of this class is 20 years. This is what I told you. Quantitative data, easily generalized. You and I will have the single reality. Single reality means same meaning for us. But here, if I say something about hostel, that would be different with what you say. Maybe I'm saying the hostel facility should be improved. Maybe you will say the hostel should be provided inside the campus. So your interpretation of word hostel, which is coming from that software, is different than mine. We are giving them different meanings. That is why it is qualitative data. It is subjective. Do you get my point? So here, analyzing the data means to give the meaning to those words or classify them. Okay, hostel and food facility is something which is related to, this is not an academic problem. So you classify it as non-academic category. It depends. Researchers, they do it. And they give narration. Narrations mean the wording to those things. They interpret the interview. This is the analyzing of the qualitative data. And then you verify. Verify validity and reliability, I told you. More interviews you will conduct, more validity will be there for your theory. Remember, when you are doing a qualitative research, you are presenting something new. New means new theory, new concept. So more interviews or more observations, the more you will do, the better your results will become, the more reliability will be there. There is no test of reliability in this case. I told you for quantitative data, we have a reliability test, which was Cron-Batch Alpha. Cron-Batch Alpha. SPSS software, you can just put up the data and the value will come. And the value should be more than 0.6. But in qualitative data, there is no test like that. There is no test like that. You have to validate through the more interviews, more interpretation, your results will become validated. Let me know if this is clear to you. Then you will report it. Report means like writing a research paper or writing some research report. It will give you the results form. Do you get my point? Is this clear? Or if you have any questions, you can ask me. Maybe your second assignment would be based on qualitative thing. It would be easy. I have sent it to the coordinator for approval, but he hasn't replied me yet. Maybe inshallah in this week he will reply and I will let you know about your second assignment, that how would you do it. Most probably it would be like this last paragraph. You see this self-study. You have to take some, just randomly choose any qualitative research objective or purpose theme, and then how will you conduct it? Whether you will go for structured interview or unstructured interview or some focus group, what type of questions you will ask there for that research and things like that. So I have sent it for the approval to the coordinator. If he approves it, I will let you know in detail what to do about it. Okay, so this ends our qualitative part. Let me share with you now the next one, which we have actually discussed before. That was about sampling and population. Okay, so sample and population is there. Okay, so let me just refresh your mind about population and sampling. So I told you that first of all, you should know what is the population size for your research problem. For example, let me take one topic. The topic is issues of young doctors in Oman. Can you tell me first of all, who is the population in this case? I'm not asking the number, I'm just asking who, from whom you can collect data. Population means the subject or the element of your research problem. Yes, very good. Sheikha Khamis, young doctors. Not all doctors, only young doctors. The young doctors are the population for this one. Let's say you assume that in Oman there are 50 hospitals. So in 50 hospitals, maybe you have 5,000 young doctors. So this is your population size. Can you collect data from all of this, all of them? Can you collect data from all of them? Yes, we cannot collect data from all of them. We have to make a sample. That is what we discussed before. So you need to make a sample from it. So sample is a representative of the population. Representative means it is a part of the population, but you have to choose it properly. So let's say my population size here is 5,000. What should be my sample size? So I told you this is the chart, this one. So Cn denotes the population size, S denotes the sample size. So if your population is 5,000 or above, your sample size will be 357. Even if it is 20,000, your sample size should be minimum. If more, good. But minimum size should be 357. Okay, so for this case, I have to collect data from 357 young doctors in different areas. And my sample should be, so sample, if I take 357 samples, I can say my sample is adequate. Adequate means enough. This is good. Sample is adequate. So when you have determined the sample size, then you will determine that your sample should be unbiased. Your sample should be unbiased. Unbiased means, for example, this is about young doctors, and the hospitals, those 50 hospitals, out of those 50 hospitals, 40 hospitals are in cities and 10 hospitals are in villages. So you only collect data from the young doctors in cities. Is your sample unbiased? You have collected the sample of 400 doctors, young doctors in cities. Is your sample unbiased? Bias means is it telling you the whole opinion of the young doctors in Oman, or is it just related to one part of Oman? I'm asking, you have taken the sample of 400, let's say 400 is more than 357 in this case, from young doctors, from cities. Is it okay? Is your sample size okay now? Or is your sample unbiased? Yes or no? Yeah, your sample is not, yes, your sample is unbiased. Okay. Now, do you think we don't have to take any response from the young doctors who are working in villages? That means you are biased towards the young doctors in cities only. You think whatever they say or whatever is their response is the response of the whole young doctors in the Oman. But maybe the young doctors working in the hospitals in some villages, maybe they have different idea, they have different response. So if you are selecting a sample which is, this is same like that one. I gave you this example before. The example is, let's say I am conducting a study about issues of students in Kasur in this college, students, and I only take responses from the female students. Is my sample biased, unbiased, or is it okay? Is it okay or not? Just simple words. Is it okay if I take response only from the female students for this problem? The problem is issues of students in CAS tour. I'm saying the problem is the issues of students in CAS tour. Okay, so that means this is about the students of CAS. This is quantitative research actually. So I will make a sample. There are total 800 students. So see the slide. So 800 students mean I will take a sample of 250, 260 is okay because 1000 you have 278. So more than 250 is okay. More than 250 is okay. I will only collect information from the female students. Or out of these 250 students, 240 will be or 230 will be female students, only 20 will be male students. Is it okay? So 250 is my sample size in CAS tour because there are 800 students here. So 250 is okay. And out of those 250 students, 230 will be female students and 20 will be male students. Is it okay or not? Myra said no. What do you think? Yes, what do you think? No, this is not okay. Why this is not okay? Because your sample has become biased towards female. That means whatever female is saying, that is right. Okay, I'm not saying it should be 125 and 125. Of course, there are more female students in this college. At least there should be some substantial number of male students in this group. 50, 200 females, 50 males is okay. Or 180 or 170 female students and or 80 or 90 male students is also okay. Should be some good number, significant number for that group. Okay. Okay. Another question. So for this type of research, issues of students in CAS, so let's say I will take responses from foundation student, year 1 student, year 2 student, and year 3 student. Is it okay? I will take responses from male and females of foundation, year 1, year 2, year 3. Is it okay? Is it okay or not okay? I'm asking a question. For the same research problem, this is the issues of students in CAS course. I will take response from foundation student, from year 1 student, from year 2 student, year 3 student. Is it okay? Abdul Aziz, you are saying okay. Abdul Aziz, what about year 4 student? Maybe they have different opinions from year 1, 2, and 3 students. What do you think? That means in my sample, to be unbiased, I should take response from foundation, year 1, year 2, and year 3 and year 4. From each level, take sample. Yes, now you are right, Abdulaziz. So I missed year 4 students. I should not miss them. Some should be there. I'm not saying every year take same sample size. No, but some students from year 4 should be there to make your sample unbiased. Remember, this is small sample, and whatever results you will get from that small sample, you will say it for the whole population. You will say young doctors have these issues, or students of CASUR have these issues. You should have less error in it. Less error means, I told you last time, 95% of the time you should be accurate. Accurate means your results, which are for the sample, should be applicable to the whole population 95% of the time. Only 5% of the time it may not be true. What does it mean? It means you have said that young doctors have issue of promotion. Let's say this is coming from your sample, an important result. Even if I ask all the 5,000 doctors, young doctors in Oman, let's say, only 5% will say, 5% out of those 5,000 will say, maximum 5% will say, no, this is not an issue. 95% should agree with you. This is 95% confidence interval. I'm putting it in the simple words. Statistics is very simple. If you can put it in your own words, in like, what does 95% confidence interval mean? So when you are making a sample, of course, sample is small, population is big. So think about it. The result of your sample, you will say it for the whole population. What does it mean? It means your research is about young doctors, okay, in Oman. So from your sample, you are saying for young doctors, the biggest issue is promotion. Now, if I find some young doctor in Sur, and if I ask, the most important issue for you is promotion, out of 100 young doctors, 95 will say yes, yes, this is the main issue. Maybe only 5 will say no to it. This is the error. This is the error, which will be there. But because you have collected the data from sample, not from the whole population, it is not possible. But your results are applicable for the whole population 95% of the time. Do you get my point? Is this point clear? If it is clear, then next time, inshallah, in the next class, I will go to sampling strategies, which are a bit difficult. So that is why I will not start it today. Not difficult, but you need time. You need fresh mind to listen to it. Today we have completed some qualitative things, and now again we have come back to quantitative things. So that is why I'm asking you. Okay, so just keep it in mind. Sample results. Now, what is 95% confidence interval? It means there is only 5% error in it. That means from the whole population, maybe only 5% of the people will say no. Otherwise, 95% should be agreeing to that. Okay. So if it is okay, then I can take your attendance and we can leave the class. This is section 10. Today is 14th. Hussain Ali.